Have you ever felt that gentle whisper calling you towards something bigger, but the spotlight made you want to disappear? I was the kind of person who would walk in a room and immediately shrink. Not because I didn't have something to say, not because I wasn't qualified, but because I believed the myth that confidence comes first. Picture this: a quiet introvert deeply involved into the church life, serving with all my heart. That was me every Sunday. I'd be there fully committed to my church family, pouring myself into the service, just preferring to do it without drawing attention to myself. Yet somehow, in every church I attended, something unexpected happened. A deaf family would appear, and someone would find me, pulling me from the comfortable routine into the unexpected moment of visibility. You see, I wasn't reluctant to serve. I love being involved, love helping others. But those unexpected moments with all eyes suddenly turned on me, that's where fear lived. There's a difference between serving with purpose and being unexpectedly thrust into the view. I took what seemed like the natural step in becoming a professional interpreter. Finally, I thought I had found my place. The role felt right, the skills were there, but that whisper of something more wouldn't quiet down. You know that feeling when everything looks perfect on paper, but your heart keeps tugging you towards something bigger? So I waited for the right moment, for the perfect words, for someone to tell me, now you're ready. But confidence never came. What came instead is an opportunity that scared me, a voice that cracked when I finally used it, a room full of people who were impacted not because I was fearless, but because I was real. Then came the idea of teaching a sign language class. Not just interpreting, but actually leading, teaching, stepping into full visibility, the very thing that I had been dancing around for years. I did what many of us do, facing a big leap. I sought validation, maybe even hoping that someone would talk me out of it. I approached my coworker, then my husband. I shared this wild idea of quitting my stable job to teach. But instead of someone pushing back, I found support. And that's when the real fear kicked in because now there were no more excuses. So there I was facing a choice: stay comfortable in what I knew or step into something completely unknown. I chose the unknown. I quit my job. That first class packed full. And there I was, someone who once shied away from the attention, was standing in front of a room full of eager students. Did I know anything about running a business? Not a thing. But I knew about bridging worlds, about connecting people, about serving with purpose. One class led to another. Then came a deaf ministry, then a nonprofit, each step bigger than the last. Each one requiring more visibility, more leadership, more stepping into the spotlight I once avoided. But here's where it gets real. Growth isn't always comfortable. Friends stepped away, board members left, and those moments of doubt, they came rushing in. Who am I to do this? Am I really qualified? Can I really lead this? And this is where I developed this fear framework because I understood that faith is not having all the answer, but taking the next step. I learned that it enables things. It creates pathways, even when the path isn't clear. Because dreams without deadlines is just wishes, right? So I needed action. But then I realized that I needed resilience, building strength from what could have broken me. And here's what I've learned about fear and the excitement. It feels exactly the same, but there's a difference. The action you take, let me break it down further because understanding fear as a compass changes everything. And it changed it for me. When I started teaching those first sign language classes, fear showed up as, what if no one signs up? What if I'm not qualified enough? What if I'm making a huge mistake? Here's what I've learned about fear and excitement. They feel exactly the same in your body. The only difference is the action you take. When I felt the flutter in my stomach before teaching, it wasn't just fear, it was also excitement. And when my voice shook during those presentations, it wasn't just nerves, it was energy ready to be channeled. Every time I faced a new level of visibility, fear was there. But instead of seeing it as a stop sign, I started seeing it as a directional sign. When we launched our city partner shop, fear whispered, "This is too big. You're reaching too high. What if they say no?" But faith whispered back, "This is where you're meant to go. This impact is needed. What if they say yes?" So today, as I'm delivering keynotes, it's not because I have eliminated fear, it's because I've learned to read it differently. When board members left and friends stepped away, it wasn't a sign to retreat, it was an invitation to rebuild stronger. This journey taught me something profound about leadership. Leaders aren't fearless, their fear, fluent growth, isn't comfortable, it's transformational. Impact isn't about perfection, it's about presence. So, through this journey, I developed a visible leadership method. We're finding your authentic voice even when it shakes, acting with purpose even before clarity, building systems that support growth, measuring influence beyond numbers, and embracing the discomfort of growth, modeling vulnerability and strength, and creating connection through authenticity. Each element was born not from the theory, but from the moments of standing alone, choosing to move forward while afraid. Here's what this looks like in real leadership. I want you to document your journey. Keep track of decisions made during your challenging times. Note the outcomes, especially the unexpected ones. Use these notes to build your leadership story, build your support system, identify mentors who weathered the same storm that you have, connect with other leaders facing similar challenges, create spaces for honest conversations about leadership fears, create action frameworks, turn your fear into action items, set specific deadlines for decisions, and use resistance as a roadmap for growth. Every day we make choices about how we show up. Choose presence over perfection. Choose impact over comfort. Choose movement over certainty. Choose leadership over hiding. These aren't one time decisions. They're daily choices that build our leadership muscles, that transform fear from obstacles into allies. So if you've been waiting to feel 100% sure, and if you've been holding back until you have it all together, let me gently interrupt that plan. You don't need to be confident to lead. You just need to be committed to show up. Lead while afraid. Lead while unsure. Lead anyway. Because here's the truth. You don't need to earn your right to take up space. You need to claim it. If you missed the Visible Leader Workshop this past Friday, you missed out on the interactive exercises where I introduced the fear framework and I dive deep into how visibility can be transformative in your strategies. But it's not too late to catch the replay. DM me replay to get the access to the workshop recording where we broke down exactly how to turn fear into your leadership compass. Because the world doesn't need more leaders waiting to feel ready. It needs leaders like you willing to move forward while afraid.